Have you ever noticed how quickly your mind connects dots? You hear a noise at night and instantly imagine an intruder. You see two coincidences and suddenly it feels like fate. We're wired to find patterns even when none exist. It makes us see faces in clouds. It makes gamblers believe their lucky streak is real. It makes entire groups of people believe the universe is sending them signs. And here's the danger. That instinct isn't harmless. The same wiring that once gave us order and meaning now pushes us toward false beliefs, bad decisions, and dangerous illusions. Pattern seeking is ancient. Long before science or writing, humans stared at the night sky. Instead of random points of light, they connected stars into shapes: bears, hunters, gods. The constellations weren't real, but they gave navigation, calendars, and stories. The brain would rather invent order in chaos than admit it's looking at randomness. That's the origin of pattern hunger. Better to imagine a meaning that isn't there than face the terror that maybe there is none. Psychologists call this apophenia, the tendency to see meaning in noise. It's why soldiers hear voices in static, why gamblers swear by rituals, why even today you knock on wood just in case. You don't need to believe in the supernatural to fall for this. Think about sports fans. A player scores while wearing a certain pair of socks. Suddenly, those socks are lucky. Think about stock traders. They see a pattern in a week of rising prices and convince themselves it will continue. Even science, the discipline designed to break illusions, falls into the same trap. That's why journals publish false positives. The brain craves patterns so much, we'd rather invent them than admit randomness. But it isn't just survival. The ego wants order. It wants a story that explains why things happen, especially to us. Randomness feels like chaos, and chaos feels unbearable. That's why people say everything happens for a reason. Not because it's proven, but because the alternative, that life is often random, feels too heavy to accept. But here's the cost. Pattern seeking helps us predict the world, but it also blinds us. It makes us fall for conspiracy theories. It makes us blame innocent groups for problems that had nothing to do with them. It makes us buy into superstitions that drain time, money, and energy. The brain whispers, there must be a reason, but sometimes there isn't. And when we can't accept that, we start forcing reasons that aren't true. And this is where it gets darker. Pattern seeking isn't just an individual quirk, it's a lever used against you. Politicians stitch together unrelated events to tell a story that feels convincing. Marketers frame coincidences as destiny. Religions promise cosmic order in the middle of chaos, and you're vulnerable to it because your brain is addicted to connections. Studies show that the human brain lights up with dopamine whenever it thinks it has spotted a pattern. Even when the pattern is completely random, we feel rewarded for being fooled. That's why entire industries exist, to feed your hunger for patterns. Not because the world is full of secret messages, but because you want it to be. That's the contradiction. The instinct to see patterns is what gave us language, science, and culture, but the same instinct also gave us superstition, conspiracy, and illusion. It's the same machinery, just pointed in opposite directions. The problem isn't that we see patterns. The problem is that we can't stop, even when the patterns aren't real. And if we're honest, maybe we don't want to stop, because even a false pattern feels safer than staring into chaos. We always look for patterns, because randomness feels unbearable. The brain tells us a story, and we'd rather believe the story than face the silence of chance. But here's the danger. The moment you stop questioning those patterns, you're no longer seeing the world. You're just seeing the shapes your mind wants to see. And if you can't tell the difference, then you're not reading reality. You're just reading yourself.